Okay. All right. So I guess this is a thing. I don't think this is the best intro ever. I'm kind of feeling like this is a little lacking. Right? Stop laughing at me. Okay, so at this point you should have a example program. Emma Schneider is laughing at me. So future classes from 2019, when you're watching this video, know that there was a girl named Emma Schneider, and she was laughing at me, and she was making this recording very difficult. Okay. All right. So create an example program called parallel arrays. Today we are going to be looking at parallel arrays. Except for everybody in the class already did that, so why did I say that? Now I feel stupid. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm leaving it straight up exactly like this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a program. How can I can't strip what a normal day in class is like in here. It's got to be just like a normal day. So that's true. Well, we have Dig Dug playing in the background. It's Dig Dug. I don't know. And of course, this is when our awesome secretary walks in right when I'm recording. She's not here. Are you gonna have that down in the office? Okay, I'll send her. I see her occasionally. Okay. All right, there we go. Now you just heard me talk to the secretary. This is really going off the rails. I'm gonna have to get better at this. Sorry, juniors. Have fun at college day. Or I hope you had fun at college day. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is we're gonna write a program that let's do a program that takes in basketball scores and just like tracks them and can tell you whether you won or whether you lost and what your goals for and goals against were. Okay. So to do that, let's create 3 arrays. We are going to need a string array for the opponent name. Okay, and we're going to do it like that. And then we're going to call it opponent. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell opponent. New string, like that. And then for right now, let's just make it of size 2. We're gonna change that in a second, but for right now, just for starting out, let's do it as size 2. Okay, and then we are gonna need 2 int arrays for points for and points against. So int points for. So this is how many points your team scored. Oop, messed that up. Okay, and then new int, and then size 2, same thing, and then exact same thing except for I want to do, let's have our array called PA for points against. And again, we're going to do it a size 2 because, I mean, initially we don't need to do a whole lot, right? Okay. So, let's just manually input these. Okay. Chris and Emma keep looking at each other laughing. When I'm doing something stupid, like recording myself, it's all about me. Doesn't matter. There could be a fly in the room, and I'd be like, that fly hates me. Okay, so let's go opponent. Then they look at each other and giggle and see, and now I'm self-conscious. Okay, opponent equals, let's do Leighton. Okay, and then let's populate our points for and our points against. PF, position 0. And then we're going to give that value, let's do, I don't know, 75. And then points against. Did we win or did we lose this one? We won it. All right, let's do 61. Good job, Northridge. Way to go. And then we're going to do a second set. Opponent. sub 1 this time, right? Because this is our second parallel array position. And then we're going to go Davis. And then points 4, position 1. And this time we scored 81 points. And points against. And Davis scored 79. 1 point? Really, down? You shouldn't beat people that bad. They feel bad. Oh, that's not good. Array position 79. That might cause a problem. 79. Okay. So what we have is if we did this, and now we can go system.out.print line, and then I'm going to go opponent 1 or opponent sub 1, and then we're going to concatenate PF sub 1, and then we'll concatenate a space. Actually, we should put a space in there, huh? Let's put a space in there just to make it look right. And then I'm going to put this on a new line, but you guys obviously can do that however you want. Let's concatenate another space, and then concatenate points against sub 1. Okay. So what we have is now we've declared our arrays, 3 arrays right there. We have our opponent. We're populated the arrays. We have opponent here. So this is our second game. This is our first game. This is our second game. Okay. System.out.println opponent 1. So what is this going to print? What do you think? Mariah, what's going to print when we hit it? Okay, so what's this piece right here? That's going to say Davis, right? Why? Because it's position 1, right? Because remember that our positions start at 0, so if we do position 1, it's not going to do the first position, it's going to do which position? Right? Yeah. Okay. So we come here, and we go, and if we run it, let's go ahead and run it. On file, it should say Davis 8179. So that's not awesome because a couple things, right? So if we look at our output, it just tells us our opponent, tells us the score, but we don't really know what these values mean. And let's let the person choose which one they do, right? Okay, so let's add a scanner in here. Show util. Oh, somebody got to capitalize there. Hey, it auto-capitalized for me. Thank you, Java compiler. You're the best. Okay, so now if we come here, oh, and let's get an int I. Let's get an index. Okay, so then we have an index, an int variable we can use for an index. And then let's ask the user which game they want to see. Which game would you like to see the stats for? Okay, so we have that. And then let's read that in. So I equals reader.next int. No arguments, so we leave those blank. Okay. Oh, crap. I forgot to set my scanner up. Did you guys set your scanner up? I just forgot. It's okay. It happens. Okay, so we have our scanner set up now. There. So now reader.nextInt should work. Yay. So now, instead of this, let's go opponent I. P1I and PFI. Right? So what we're doing now is we're allowing for the user to select which game they want to see. So that's a good thing. Okay, so we have that. But our output is not really great. So let's do this. Let's take opponent I, let's cut it, and let's move it down here. Put and then a space in right here. There. And the other thing is let's go ahead and drop a new line in here, so that way it separates it. Okay. And that'll work. And then right here, let's just write Northridge. Okay. And I'm actually going to put a colon right there because then it'll look better. Oh, I forgot to concatenate that. There we go. And then I'm going to move this down one more so that you can see it on the screen better. Okay, so now we should get a better output. And we should be able to select which game we want. Okay, so we run it again. Which game would you like to see the stats for? So I'm going to type game 1. And when I hit enter, what's going to happen? Northridge 81, Davis 89. Is that game 1? Okay, now you all are being so self-conscious because I'm recording. So talk. If I have to talk, you have to talk. Is that game 1, Mariah? Skylar says yes. Mariah says no. Okay, but this is where we run into the difference between a programmer and the user, right? Is the user going to understand that arrays index at 0? They're not really, right? They aren't. It stinks, but they're not. So, I mean, it took me like 3 weeks to get you guys to understand the computers start counting at 0. So we can't educate the user to start that, right? I'm not being serious, people that are listening to the recording. It didn't take that long. So let's do this. Let's cheat it. Let's just go like this. So I equals reader.nextInt. If we go -1 like that, that will change it, right? Because if they type in 1, now it's going to see game 0, but the user thinks they asked for game 1. So it kind of gives us the best of both worlds. So if we run this one, and I say game 1, it should give us Layton. Hopefully, if we did it well. It did. Okay, so that allows us to stick with good array structure because there's a whole bunch of solutions. We really wanted to cheese this. We could populate array position 0 with nothing, and then start with our first game is actually array position 1 and array position 0 is empty. But that's kind of a hokey, goofy solution to that problem, which I don't love. So this is a better, more elegant way around it. Okay? All right. So is everybody's program working so far? To that point? Yours is not working, Zach? Skylar? Help a brother out? Okay. Zach's is having problems. That would be... It's fixed? What was it? Oh. I did that too, so it's kind of hard to feel too bad about that, Zach, because if someone as awesome as me makes that mistake, hey. Okay. All right. So, The problem is that this is not a super functional program to this point, right? Because every time we play a new game, do we want to go in and edit the source code for your executable? Not great. This is not a great solution as it stands, right? So let's do this. So let's allow the user to type in the stuff. So let's get rid of this. Let's just, well, I'm going to keep that because I'm going to use it for copy and paste, but that's kind of not functional for the rest of our program. Okay, so let's come right here, and before our arrays get populated, let's set up the size. So let's say, let's do system.println, and let's just ask the user how many games they want to enter. Oh, capital H. It's going to be interesting to see if that little new email message records in the video. How many games do you want to enter? So we'll let the user put that in. Okay? And then, actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to do a print. I want that on the same line. I don't want that on a separate line. We'll do it like that. Okay? How many games do you want to enter? And then I'm just going to inline declare my variable here. We're going to go int count equals reader dot next int, like that. Okay, int count equals reader dot next int. So now we have a count. So let's go ahead and instead of declaring our arrays to be hard coded 2, let's just let them declare of size count. So then the user gets to decide how big the arrays are. Okay, so we have our count set up. Okay, so with these three things, okay, we have the opponent name, the points for, points against. Why do we need to have an array for team name? No, why not? Well, if this is a Northridge program, what's the home team going to be? It's always going to be Northridge, right? So we don't need to ask the user what the home team is because it's always the same. So we're good with that. Okay. So we've got here, but now we need to do we have to do a loop that's going to read in, right? So we want them to enter the games. If we know how many times the loop is going to run, do we use a while or for loop? Say it louder with some confidence, man. Man. No, that's right. It's like it's like once we hit the record button, you guys are all like, "Oh, I don't want to answer because if I'm wrong, then posterity knows." The keyboards do seem really loud today. It's because you guys are all being super quiet because you don't want to say anything that the recorder picks up. Like nobody wants me to be like, Skylar, stop playing text-based games while we're doing our demo video. Oh, okay. So in 3 years now, they're going to be like, which Skylar was that? Was that Skylar Levin? I'll be like, yes, that was Skylar. Okay. So when we have two main looping structures that we use so far. For loops, while loops. For loops are when we know how many times the loop's going to execute. While loops are when we don't know how many times the loop's going to execute. So the interesting question here is, do we know how many times this loop's going to execute? What do you think, Zach? It's yes and no. So you guys have some confidence. You could have answered either way and been right on this one. Right? So we don't, before the program's executed, we don't know how many times it's going to run. But at the point where this is in the program, we do. how many times is the for loop going to need to run? It's going to need to run count times, right? Because that's how many games they played. Okay, how many games are going to enter? If they're going to enter 3 games, we need to run the for loop 3 times. So while we don't technically know how many times it's going to run, the program at this point knows exactly how many times it's going to run. What's the execution side of it? So we're going to use a for loop instead of a while. So we're going to go for, and then we're going to use our index of I for I equals 0. And then we are going to go while. So our conditional statement is going to be while I is less than what? Count. You could also use one of your arrays dot length here. That would also work, but count is easier. And then I plus plus, so we're incrementing I because that's our thing. And then we have curly brackets to set up our for loop. Okay. So we need to have them enter. So we need to ask the user for their opponent's name, right? So let's say system.out.println. Then we're going to go enter opponent's name, space, okay? And then we have to read this in. So we go opponent sub what? I. Yep. So we go opponent sub I equals reader line, because line is for strings. Okay. And then we need to enter, what are the next 2 data points we have to get them to enter? The scores. My heck, why are you guys so nervous about answering easy questions? It's all on Zach. I'm actually going to choose this, and I'm just going to copy and paste this in a couple times. Enter opponents. We're going to do enter Northridge score. Okay, so enter Northridge score. And then this is not going to be reader.next line, right? Because we would suck to read a string in. So we got points for sub I. This is going to be the same thing, except for this is going to be points against sub I. Then we got to change this to reader.next int. And then we have enter opponents. This is going to be score. Okay. So now what we have is we have a way for the user to type something in. Okay. This is where we got to delete those 2. Get rid of those 2 sets of data so that way we don't accidentally read that in. Okay. All right. So now if we run this, should this be functioning? Is this going to work? Should. How many games do you want to enter? I'm going to do 2. Oh, crap. What happened? This has bit a few of you guys in the butt to this point. Not everybody has experienced this yet. I think this caught Emma and Chris. This got Charlie, I believe. I believe this even hit Mariah. Yeah. Okay. So the problem that we have is that this is kind of messed up. But if you look, so we have how many games do you want to score and what did they type in? That's not all they typed in. What else did they type in? Nope. No. Think about it. Think about when you're running the program, okay? So Craig's typing in our program. Craig, what keys did you hit to do that? You hit a 2 and then you hit enter. Okay, so Java kind of has a problem with this. It's a bug in the current build of Java that we're in. So the compiler takes the 2 and says, hey, so if we look at our source code, it says, hey, int count equals reader.nextInt. I can read in an integer. But then it takes that integer, stores it in count here. But then what does it do with the enter key that Craig typed in? Java does you this awesome favor and says, hey, I'm going to hang on to that just in case I need it later. So it has an enter, it has a new line stored in the memory buffer. So then we get down to here, and what happens? It says, hey, you want me to read a string, a next line, into and store it into this string variable. Well, I already have a string stored in memory, so it puts it in your string variable. Yeah, it's crappy. So this is a terrible solution, but it's really the only one we've got. So here you go. This is what we're going to do. String trash equals reader dot next line. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is actually going to jump into the memory buffer and just take that new line out so that it's gone. So by the time it gets down to our opponent's name, it should have a fresh opportunity to read in a string. So let's run this again. Oh, let me kill these other 2. How many games do you want to enter? Let's do 2. Enter opponent's name. Oh, we win. Okay, so now we're going to go Leighton. Okay. Enter Northridge score. We got 65. Enter opponent's score. Huh. I just thought of something we're going to fix. We're going to make that better. 55. Okay. Enter Northridge. Oh, crap. It did it again. Shoot. Okay, this is a problem. It did it again. So if we kill this, we come back here. Instead of having string.trash right there, let's move it inside of the for loop. And that way it'll clear that memory buffer out every single time the loop executes. Right there. That makes sense? So there. And then the other thing that I just realized is that at this point, we don't know who the opponent is, right? But at this point, we do. So instead of saying enter opponent's score, right? What if we said enter opponent sub I, and then concatenate that, score. So now what? Now it's going to say enter whatever you typed in score. And actually, yeah, so that'll work better. I like that. That'll look nicer. That's a much more elegant solution. Okay, so now we'll try this again. How many games do you want to enter? 2. Enter opponent's name, Leighton. Enter Northridge score, 86. Enter Leighton score. There we go. 55. Enter opponent's name. So this is game 2, right? Let's do Clearfield. And let's do 76. And unfortunately, we did not play very good, so we lost this game. Okay. Which game would you like to see the stats for? So now we can go back and we can say game 2. It should show us Clearfield. It did. Okay, so that's good. So we have that set up. All right, now, did you see that still, Mariah? Okay. No, you're okay. That's all right. Do I have it in a good spot? Okay. Part of me feels like I should, like I'm narrating a YouTube video. I should be, hey, smash the like button, subscribe if you could. If you like, yeah. If you like this video, and actually, you know, the reality is that I probably will actually end up doing this to YouTube. So students, if you like this video, if it helped you get your assignment done, smash that like button. I know, right? Okay. All right. So we have this. This is set up. This is good. Okay. So how many, based on this code right here, how many games could the user enter? Whatever number they like, right? That's good. So that helps us out a lot. Okay. This is a pretty functional program at this point. Based on the problem that we run into with this is I know this is just an example program, and so I can't do a lot, but what's a way that we could make this program better that you guys know how to do already? Where are we storing the data? Diego, where are we storing the data in here? Just in the program, right? So what could we do to make this actually a useful program? Yeah. Yeah, we could write it to a text file. Exactly right. So we could write this data to a text file, right? And then we have that data in between executions. So then this program goes from being just a good example of how to make arrays work to something that would actually be semi-useful. Okay? Now, if you take a look only at the data that we have available in this program, what's some information that we could extrapolate based on the data that we have? What do you guys think? All we have is the opponent's name, how many points we scored, and how many points the opponent scored. What data do we know just based on only on that? What are some things that we know? We can figure out our win-loss ratio, right? Okay? Because we know that the points, right? So we could just based on these three simple data points, we could figure out win-loss ratio. What else? Think deeper. We could figure out average score, right? How many points we usually score in a game. We could figure out how many points we allow. We could figure out margin of victory. We could figure out field goal. Well, not yet. But plus minus. We could do plus minus. We could even predict, if we had enough games, we could predict the odds of winning the next game based on what's happened in the past. Right? There's lots of cool stuff that we could do. Okay. So, here you go. Usually, this is where I'd walk up in front of the classroom and explain this to you guys to make sure that you know it. So, let's have, instead, today, let's have everybody look at me so that I can see in your eyes whether you have any idea what I'm talking about, because this is hard back here. Okay? Mariah does. Okay, so here's your assignment. This is what you guys are going to do. And you're going to have all day today, the rest of today to work on it, an entire class period next time to work on it. Not super difficult. But I want you to read in, just very similar to this, I want you to read in a student's name. Okay? And then I want you to read in 2 test scores for each student. And you let the person using the program decide how many students they're going to enter, right? So how many students are in your class, how many students took the test, whatever, right? Okay, so I want you to allow them to type in as a name for each student, test 1, test 2, okay? And then I want you to give them the opportunity to run 3 reports, okay? So they can ask one of 3 questions. Those 3 questions are your call. You get to decide what those 3 questions are. So maybe what are some things with 2 tests and a student's name? What are some reports that we could run from that? Average score for the student and the class, right? Couldn't we look at a class average as well as a student average? Right? Because we have 2 tests, so each student's going to have an average score, but we also have a class set of data where we could look at the class average. Okay, what else? High score. Who had the highest score in the class? Right? So we could say what's the highest score that happened on any of the tests, or what's the highest score for each test. Right? So Zach had the highest score in test 1 and Mariah had the highest score in test 2. Right? So that's a set of data that we could run. Okay? There's loads. You could do the mean. right? We get mean, median, mode. You could do any of that. You could do percentage of students below a certain percent on the test. Okay, and just so that you know, your test scores they can just be integers. We're not going to worry about 85.6%. Okay, so don't worry about doing floats or doubles on that. You can do integers. Okay, so and your 3 reports are not specified by me. You choose what you want to do. Okay, you pick. I don't care what you guys do. Just do something that you think is cool. With the knowledge, the heads up that your next assignment, when we do our custom objects and custom classes, we're going to do the exact same program, except for we're going to do it with objects and classes. And so you're going to get the opportunity to do this assignment with one method, and then you're going to get the opportunity to do it a completely different way. Okay? Does that make sense? I just coughed. I covered the mic up, so I don't know if it actually recorded that or not. And as my voice is starting to head south, we're done. Rubrics for the next assignment are over on the light blue paper over there, so you need them. Just a heads up. Make sure that if you have missing stuff, get it to me as quick as you can. Don't make me grade it the last day of class, because that'll make me sad. Okay. Except with the exception of your dice game, there's no rubric for that one. I'm going to grade all those manually. So, okay? You guys good? Okay. Get to work. Well done.